Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan, and I'm so excited about this Tuesday. We are celebrating seniors. I have my co host.
And good evening to everyone. What an exciting time to celebrate these graduates who have really sojourned through some unprecedented and uncharted waters. And so we have this opportunity to celebrate them. And the thing I'm excited about this week here is that we have a few males that are on. And, we talk about how important it is when we see males, especially Black males, begin to excel and to graduate, and oftentimes through many different challenges. So I'm excited about it today.
Yes, I'm really excited. You know, I'm for that male seed, that dominance, that headship. So I'm so excited. We have a couple of guests on tonight, and we don't want to prolong the time because we want to hear from everyone, and so that we can get an idea of what they're going to do as they leave their high school years into college. I have first guest Justin N. King.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
How
Justin.
are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome.
Awesome. So, Justin, how does it feel, man? I mean, did this day feel like it was coming soon enough, or do you feel like it's come way sooner than you thought?
Um, a little bit of both, I'd say, because first off, this year, we were already in a situation where seniors didn't want to be in. And with this whole COVID situation, it can be pretty stressful on them. And we constantly have to make sure that we're on point with everything that we do. And it can be hard for a lot of us just to do that alone because we are all going through, especially if we're like staying at home and we're not going to school. It can throw us off. Like some of us, just forget that we have school, and some like remember like, oh, let me set my alarm, let me do this, and that can be pretty tough. But at the end, you just got to make sure that you did everything and it was worth it. But it did kind of, the school year was pretty much normal to me, and I did kind of time, but I did, if I have to be honest, I did kind of struggle because I like I had to like do tests and things that kind of threw me off, and then I had to get back to my regular schedule, and that kind
Now,
of scared.
how difficult was it when you had to take a test, being that you weren't, like hands on with the teacher? How difficult was that transitioning and being able to achieve your goals for higher education?
Um, just make sure you say yes, because any teachers have to say
I need you to
that.
talk into the mic because I can't hear you.
Anytime teachers say to take a test, you have to make sure like you have to study, be on point, and then when there's another class, um, you just have to keep just being steady with everything, and that can be hard, but like hopefully like you make it, and I'm thankful that I did. And it can really be like a true battle, like on some students, and it can really be stressful, but just got to make sure you got to get through that gate, or there's no going through it.
Do you think that because you went through this situation with COVID, where you had to really manage your time and your schedule, do you think it kind of like helping you for college?
Yes, it is, because it sets a schedule for me, and do what you have to do what you have to do. It
Be
stays
disciplined.
right. So if that stays in your head and you set a schedule for that, that's going to be more normalized for you to succeed far down the road.
Mm. So what college are you going to?
First, I'm going years at which is college, and then I'm going to do another 2 years at FAU.
Okay. Awesome. So you're gonna remain local, at least close enough to home so you can
Right.
go get a meal, right?
Right.
Absolutely. It's not so Justin, one of the things that I think that I want to ask you is this. Inside of making those adjustments like you did, one of the things that you alluded to was actually having to be cautious and conscious of the fact of to remember sometimes I am still in class. I'm still in school because not having that bell to go off and say ding next class and not having those things there kind of gave you a lot of freedom inside of that. And if you're a learner who likes to have face to face and that human contact, it had to be challenging to be able to have to space yourself, remind yourself, and work through a lot of things on your own. Would that be correct?
Yes. But would say, in all honesty, there is some advantage to staying home, and for some people, it was probably hard for them because in person they had problems and
Mhm.
at their desks, and by them home around the people that make them comfortable in an environment that would be more comfortable for them, they'll be able to focus more. But that's just not everybody.
Right, right. Well, Jaden, I'm not Jaden, Justin, we have another guest coming, Jaden, and I happen to have, of course, we share a name with my son and my grandson. But listen, I know because I've known you for a while that uh, you didn't have a light load of classes, and you definitely, I mean, you're honors guy, and you have a lot of things that you're taking. I mean, digital things on one hand, signing on another, and doing projects that normally would take really some hands-on, in-person type thing. But you've had to manage to do those things without having someone up, right in front of you. I mean, what type of challenge was that for you?
It can really be difficult, um, especially with the sign language. There are things that involving that the hands-on signing, you
Mhm.
would look up like, or not look up, but it would just be in English order, just sentences, just like, but in the order where you would say in where you would say it backwards, just for like if you were speaking Spanish in
Mhm.
translation, in technical translation, words would be words rather than four words. So you would
Mhm.
have to also do that with speech. And with the video, you have to make sure that your signs in the camera, because if you're off the camera, you don't realize it, and you were like there for like 2 minutes, for example, you would have to start all over, and then that would be
Wow.
make sure you're on point, make sure the lighting's right, make sure there's nothing in the background that could be distracting. Um, with digital arts, it'll be pretty easy because all you have to do is skills that you learned originally and
Mhm.
just put that all on the turn it in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know. First of all, you talking about the sign language, and that's always been fascinating for those of us who don't know it, and we've seen people communicate with it. And you're talking about digital, also digital arts and things. What is your aspiration? What are the things that you're looking to either major in college or do after high school?
In college, I'm looking to major in digital arts and drawing because I'm also good with that. From the start, from like when I was very young, that was the first thing that I immediately knew that I was gifted was art, and I started drawing. Like when I was in school, I was given drawing assignments. I would just do a little extra. I would focus, and the teachers would be like, "Oh, okay, okay," and then I would actually go to the drawing field starting in high school because
Mhm.
I did have a moment where I kept my own drawing book and I drew every single day, looked on YouTube to see what thing could I fix or make more specific to where it improves my skill in drawing?
Gotcha.
And it really made me love drawing as one of the things that I really like to do. And so that's why I decided, as soon as I got into high school, elective, oh, drawing, yeah, that's it. So I was like, yeah, I want that. So I took that for about 3 years.
I need you to stay forward, Justin, because we people are having a hard time hearing you. So stay focused so that you can stay in the mic where they can hear you.
Okay.
You
When
have such a nice, strong voice.
He does, doesn't he?
when I first was in drawing, I really thought that I was gonna do it for a full 4 years, but I ended free because my third junior year of high school, the slot was filled, kind of like threw me off. I was like, what? Like, whoa, 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 whoa. This,
someone stole your cookie spot. Okay.
I'm in who? I'm in who's? And I found out I was in photography. I wasn't really mad about it because I do like to take photos and edit. Like, I'm kind of skilled in photography, but that's not really the direction that I really want to go. So that kind of improved my photo skill a little bit. So it was probably meant for me to be in there. So I'm not really mad about that because, yeah, it was just an adjustment for me. Then this year, I got into drawing again, and that really made me happy. So I really got that.
Wow. Well, Justin, we're all proud of you here. We're proud of you. You've come through so many things there. Your mom, your family, that village that we often talk about. Inside of that, we definitely want to be able to make the audience aware of the fact that, hey, you're graduating, you're going to be going off to college, and for those that might want to support you, how can they support you?
They can support me by it. Well, can I
What's
mention?
your Cash App, Justin?
Oh, okay. So my cash app is the $ like a C, like saying the word C, but you're not really saying it because it doesn't have an S. So you kind of like saying a $E, 3E, and then by FEE. That's a capital FEE. So repeating,
Yes.
$ with 3 capital E's, lowercase by, then capital F, then lowercase e. Just cool.
EE.
Yes.
So it's $EEE by FEE. And that's how
Yes.
individuals can support you as you go through. One of the things that I always did, I'm a mother of 4 kids, and all my children went to college. My sons excelled. I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and then my sons excelled the girls. They got double masters. And so one of the things I always did was I always supported or adopted a child that was going to school, $20 here, $50 here. Because, when you're in college, you don't want to just eat ramen noodles every day. And there were times where I couldn't send money and my kids would be like, oh, mom, somebody sent me $20. So, you know, we have these young people that are excelling into higher education and they want to be somebody. So those of you that can sow into their lives, support them so that they won't be a statistic. Let's always say, he looking for people that are prospects, not suspects. And it does take a village. If everybody do a little bit, we can help these individuals. Now, they didn't know that I was going to say that, or I asked them for their Cash App information because I wanted it. So I'm extending it to the audience to support. My granddaughter was on last week, and I did the same thing for her. But we all have a
Absolutely.
village. We need to support these children that are doing something. And they, in the long run, will wind up seeding back into you and maybe a doctor, a lawyer, law enforcement, even president. And you sowed into their lives to do that. So Justin, I'm so glad to have you on, and thank you so much for staying the course and not
Yes.
getting derailed in life, because there were so many distractions, I'm sure. And then the pandemic, that added an extra distraction. So I'm so glad that you stayed focused and you decided that you want to be somebody, because you know greatness is a choice, and I'm so glad you chose it.
Exactly right.
Well, thanks again, Justin. Now, you're graduating from which high school again?
I'm graduating from JP Terravella.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I cannot say enough how proud I am of you. When you were young, I used to call you Just Man and everything. And now you've grown up into this talented young man. Not only are you doing headed off to school, you're doing music. You have your own music. And your music name is like J Surge, something of that nature. I mean,
Yes,
that's your alternate ego, right? No, I just
yes, J Sturge. And then
Mhm.
alter you. Mm.
Well,
well,
thank you
that's
so much for joining us, Justin, and we look forward to seeing your next.
absolutely. Thank you
Thank,
so much. Okay. All
thank you.
righty. Thank you. Well, it's always just great having young people on, and young men. I remember him when he was very young, very small, a little scrawny guy, and everything. But he has grown up to do great things. He's a tremendous praise and worship dancer as well. And it's interesting. Sometimes he comes across as if he's shy, but when he's into what he's into, he just blossoms. He loves it. I mean, you could tell he loves the whole digital thing, the drawing thing, and he loves being able to figure things out. And that's what it takes today, as our young people are facing different things that we never faced. We never went through a pandemic.
Right. This
And
is
yet it's
totally different.
exactly. And so to see them stay the course in the midst of this and having to adjust on the run, no one gave them a warning. No one gave them, a head start. They've had to make that adjustment on the run. So we applaud them once again. Also.
Awesome. And we have another guest.
Yes, and all of them names start with J tonight.
Hello,
Hi, Jaden. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about y'all?
Doing
Good. We're so
doing good.
excited to have you on the show, and you're graduating from college.
Yep, from Florida State University.
Yes,
Woo-hoo!
yeah.
Got a
What
Seminole.
was your
bachelor's,
Yes.
major?
bachelor's degree in business management.
All righty.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I understand that already that you have already made some moves as far as business already. I'm understanding that you've already started an LLC and you're
Yeah.
you're you're ready to get going. So let me ask you, what is it that guided your journey through college? I'm quite sure when you started, no one had it on their map. In my senior year, pandemic, you didn't have that. So in what
Right.
way did the pandemic challenge you, and what adjustments did you make to get through it?
I would say that the pandemic definitely challenged me because it forced me to be more quick on my feet in terms of the way of that I problem solve, and just also that I kind of plan for my future. I was a student where my sophomore year I had a internship with Wells Fargo or whatnot, so I always kind of saw myself going with that route because I had a lot of connections within that industry. But
Mhm.
as my senior year and junior year started to approach when the pandemic hit, a lot of my internship offers and whatnot, they were no longer able to be on the table because of the pandemic going in. These companies not necessarily knowing how they're going to be able to proceed with their full-time employees. So of course they didn't have time for interns or bringing in new people from just graduating undergrad. So I really had to find a way for myself to have more security and be able to generate my own income. So that's why I decided to start my business.
Wow. Well,
Awesome.
what looked like to me, challenge knocked and you answered.
I have to.
Great.
So much has happened, and today is a year since George Floyd was murdered.
Mhm.
How did that have an effect on you this last year?
As Jesse was saying, I was a student leader at Florida State University. I was a member of the Black Student Union on the executive board and also a student leader in my fraternity, Alpha Phi for Fraternity Incorporated. So with those positions, I was really placed in a lot of situations to where there were students that were looking to me as that was going on for an example of how to lead. Like a lot of freshmen that were looking at me and just kind of seeing what is it that I'm doing and the organization that I'm a part of. So with that specific instance of the George Floyd situation, being in Tallahassee, since it's the capital of Florida, there was a lot of things going on in terms of protesting that I was out being active in. And I would say that overall, it definitely took a toll on all aspects of life because I had to find a way to balance like real life issues with the George Floyd situation and all of the civil injustices that were going on at the time, but also the pandemic that was still occurring at the same time while dealing with academics in terms of being a full-time student and also trying to figure out what I want to be doing after graduation in a couple months. So it was a lot of balancing that I had to kind of do and just learning.
Wow. That's a lot to be put on your to be on your plate at one time. But it sounds like to me you were ready for it, and the preparation, the attitude. It's been said that adversity introduces a man to himself,
Mhm.
and it's amazing. Our response to adversity really determines our course afterwards. And it
Right.
sounded like to me this was something that really pushed you in a way, and perhaps made you see really yourself on a larger playing field inside of the fact that now you're balancing your own academic career, you're dealing with cultural issues, you're dealing with the thing of leadership, and yet it's still I'm trying to stay in the moment at the same time. And
Right.
and somehow or another you connect the dots. You connect the dots of how does this impact you? Though it's happened in Minnesota, but it affects me here in Florida, in Tallahassee. And you had
Right.
to walk through that.
Mhm.
And that leadership was very important at that time because sometimes we've been forced to have to fight with dignity, inside of, other
Mhm.
folks storm capitals, do stuff like that and tear stuff up. And yet it's still, here we are, we have to still maintain our dignity inside of things because if we act ugly, in other words, then we have fallen prey to the stereotype.
Very
And
much
so,
so.
so inside of, I commend you because that is an incredible role, and being a part of the Black Student Union and leadership is always something that, without question, demands us to be on our feet, that to be, be on our toes. And I commend you inside of that. Did this
Thank
incident, or did your last 2 years in college, what would you say is the greatest lesson that you've learned in these last 2 years?
I would say that the greatest lesson I learned over the last 2 years is that you have to be is that it's the most important to be confident in yourself because as you were just saying, it seemed as though I was ready for all of that adversity that I faced. But I would have to say it seems that way in hindsight, but as it was all being presented to me, it was very much so not what I was thinking. Like I was going through the thought process of this is too much going on, but it was so many things that I was thinking at the time to where it's like this is unfair. Why is it that my senior year, as I'm finally out of internships and whatnot, and all this work I put in for the past 4 years to get to this point, now I'm here and there's literally no way I can get this internship just because they're not hiring right now. It's like so I would say that the confidence in yourself, when you have that, or if you're able to establish that, then it opens up a lot of doors for you in terms of you just understand that whatever you do put your focus on, no matter if a company or whatever door you were trying to go through may be closed, it gives you that ability to just go ahead and do whatever it is that you are trying to do, regardless of that.
Okay, so you started a business
Mhm.
there in college. And
Yep.
what was that business, and what thrusted you to do so?
Actually, I have my logo that I designed right here on the
Wow.
back of one of these shirts. So it's a digital media production company named
Wow.
Reveal Visuals. So basically, what I've done so far is I've done a few graduation video shoots, a few music video shoots for local artists in Tallahassee, and that's really what I'm going to be focusing on over the next few years. Just building up clients and making connections, and also just understanding how to operate in the business world in a professional sense. So what brought that about was, like I said, my senior year, as I was really beginning to apply for jobs full time and speak to recruiters, a lot of them were letting me know that the job market over the next few years, especially for someone that's going for entry level positions, is not going to be looking good at all because of course, a lot of the layoffs and economic impact of the coronavirus that's been going on. So I knew that I couldn't necessarily just like accept that, and let that be. So I decided to go ahead and launch my own business because camera work and videography is always something that I found myself aligned with in terms of creative ventures and whatnot. So that's why I decided to go ahead and proceed with that.
Well, don't stop. That's what my son Daniel does. He's a videographer in New York and he's doing really well. As a matter of fact, he changed jobs in January. He has a new son. He bought a new house. And I was like, you're changing jobs in the middle of a pandemic, but you're making six figures now and you
Yeah.
changing jobs. And he was like, no, mom, this is what I need to do. I feel this is a time for the shift.
Right.
And, I've always told my children when you're in alignment with the assignment that God has for your life, the world will beg for what you have. So you have to make your own niche. And once you knock on that door and somebody opens it, you walk right through it. So I'm so glad that that's what you did. You were unstoppable. You weren't going to listen to what the naysayers said is, oh, you're not going to find a job in the pandemic, nobody's hiring. You create your own path and you blaze that trail. Kudos.
Thank you.
You know, I'm impressed with your confidence. I'm impressed with your poise because, like you said, well, in real time, I didn't quite feel this way, but somewhere along the line in real time, especially you did something that is so important. And I hope the audience gets this is that though you sat there with those different businesses that you had, previously inquired about internship, and though you heard the information, the report that said, hey, it's going to be bleak, these jobs aren't coming, and it is almost as if you heard it and you gathered information, and from that information you made your move. Like, okay, glad to hear what you had to say, but nah, that's not stopping me. And I think we have to have that type of confidence because when one door closes, sometimes it's not just another door opening. Sometimes we have to make the door, and that's not like what you've done. You made the door. Okay, I'm gonna make this door happen. And inside of that, I say this because where oftentimes, we are stereotyped to, well, we're lazy, we won't do anything. Or sometimes we're disheartened because the door closed. You made up in your mind, no, I'm not stopping there. I'm going to build my clientele. I'm going to do what I need to do to cause it to happen. And I say kudos to you. I'm proud of what you're doing, and I'm proud of where you're going inside of that.
Thank you.
Did you find that in your senior year you had to shift some people you were connected to?
Yes, definitely. I would say that in both directions in terms of that all of the trials that I faced that senior year, it showed me that I had to let go of some people that weren't necessarily trying to progress me or towards what I want in life, but also I had to also like hold the ones dearly and close to me that did understand what my values were aligned in and did help me go towards those goals or whatnot. Because I was always beforehand kind of the person that I would try to do it all myself, but all of the things that I faced that senior year showed me that you're much stronger when you have people to support you and whatnot, and just they understand what it is you're going for, and you don't have to do it yourself. You can use the network around you for things that you might not even know that are possible and whatnot.
So let me ask you this. When you graduated high school and you went into college, were you clear on the direction you wanted to take, or did you evolve into where you are now?
I would say that I was clear in a general direction, but I never saw myself taking the exact route that I ended up taking in terms of being a business owner at this age, and also just being a business owner in the specific sense that I am with the creative process and trying to go with videography and whatnot. I attended Florida A&M University originally in 2017, knowing that I wanted to do something in the field of business, but I didn't have any knowledge of whether it be in accounting or whether I'd be managing a business or anything of this sort. I didn't even know at that point if I would stay with the business major. I was really going with the intention of, I know that this college thing is the next step after high school. So I'm gonna take that step in and just kind of figure it out along the way. But as I was learning and just engaging with professors, different students, professionals in those fields, I started to pick up something from like each of them, and it kind of gave me a more clear vision of what it is I wanted to do with myself.
Now, if someone wanted to engage your services or seed into your life, how could they do that?
Well, my business can be found on Instagram. I'm working on developing a website right now, but that's coming with time. But my personal Instagram is at it's J Reid at that's my Instagram. And also for any like donations or whatnot to my business, I have Zelle and Cash App. So my Zelle for my business is Jaiden Jaiden Reid, Jaiden R Business, JAIDNR, or business at gmail.com. And also for my LLC, I have a Cash App. It's $ it's ITS Revenge Visuals. So those are two of the ways that I could be financially supported, but also socially on my Instagram at it's J Reid.
Yeah, a lot of businesses through word of mouth. So, once you have your stuff out there and you start promoting and doing different things, the doors are going to open because you're on assignment. I see that you're focused, you're strong, and I just pray that you don't get distracted. Leave the girls alone right now and focus on the money, honey.
I'm doing that. Stay focused.
That's what I used to tell my boys. No, y'all need to get your education and focus on your end goals. And then all these other things will be added. And they did that actually. They waited until they got themselves together and established. And, as I said, my youngest son, Daniel's a videographer. And my oldest son, David, he just found out he's going to be the principal of Madison Middle School in Tampa. So focus.
Yeah, the
Being
business
focused.
first.
You can't have no honey without any money.
Exactly.
Well, she's speaking like a true mom, to encourage that, but she's dead on it inside of it. And one of the things I have to say to you, Jaiden, and by the way, I want to definitely remind those that are watching, if you want to support Jaiden, right there, there's his Zelle, those of you that are watching, there's his Zelle business address. And I think it's so important to be able to give support to. Now, you mentioned earlier about your fraternity, and we've had a few comments about you being an alpha man. There goes an alpha man, and that's great. I will say this, I have dealt with alpha men. My sons was very heavily influenced by alpha men, and it is something that I think that is so important. That confidence, that continuous support that says to you that you can make it. And I see great things for you. I see great things in your future. I know that you're going to do well. I want to see people utilize your services, give you an opportunity. I believe that when you're dealing with anyone who has a creative mind, they're able to take your vision and bring it to life for you. And that sounds like that sound like the path that you're on, and I really commend you for that.
That's the mission.
Yes, I am so proud of you. And like I said, we talk about Black Lives Matter. Our men matter. So let's support our Black men. Jaiden ourbusiness@gmail.com. You need a wedding, you need some promotional videos done for your business, reach out to this young man. He's getting started. And as I said, at the end of the day, you'll be able to say that you sold into somebody's life. Instead of watching television and watching people live their lives on these reality shows, you have the opportunity to connect with someone here real time and be a part of the growth, the process. You know, a lot of people don't want to go through the process. Jaiden, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people may have like self-doubt that holds them back from what they believe they could do. So they just go with what is the safer route or what the people that are around them tell them they can do. But like you say, it's important to have that faith in yourself and just trust the process that if you put your energy towards what it is you believe is for you, then the outcome will be worth it in the end.
Awesome.
So let's support. You know, any little bit helps. Anything you could do. I have a lot of people I'm supporting and give it to my husband. Be like, you send out another cash app. You send out another. I say it's just a something to let them know that we're with you. We're standing with you. We want to see you reach your goal. So it takes a village. Stop talking about what you're going to do. Let's do something.
Absolutely. You know, Jade, one of the things I do know, kind of like Dr. Val, I have 4 sons that I all went to college inside of there. And I knew what it was like having to constantly either send money and do those things there. So it's always
and I was a single parent.
Yeah, it's always a blessing to be able to have people to support it. And the way I look at it, and this is for those that are viewing, it's an investment. It's an investment. It's encouragement. It is that, and it makes a big difference inside of our lives. As a older Black man saying to a younger Black man, you are the future. And so I want to invest in you because of the fact that you represent the path that will open doors for those after you. So that's in terms of what we have to do. It's an investment. When I think of my 4 sons, I think about what they've done. When I think of my daughter, what she's done. Matter of fact, you guys attended the same school, FAMU and Florida State, at just different time. And I recognize how important that was. I recognize the fact of, this investment, what you're embarking upon. Man, I am proud, and I say to everyone that's listening today, we've had great guests, you and both Justin.
Justin,
I like to say the future is bright for us because we see this, and so often, mainstream media will make a mockery and try to make it seem as if we're not doing this, but we're doing it. Your creative minds, you have your focus. You understood when to shift. That means you had to have a certain discernment to be able to recognize things are shifting, they're changing. I'm not about to sink with this. I'm about to rise above it. And I applaud you once again.
I'm so glad you're on our show. That way, when we look back at this a few years later and say, I had them first.
Yes, exactly. We're going to pull out the evidence.
You and Justin, y'all soaring. And I'll be like, I was a part of that.
Thanks. I'll always remember it. I'll always remember it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. A lot of seniors are bashful and not wanting to share, but hopefully this will springboard and open up the doors for other individuals that will see you and say, it's not so bad. I have a voice. And I think it needs to start here. And when you're graduating high school, graduating college, because the world is your platform. Mm-hmm. And unless you tap into it, you won't get nothing out. So I thank you for that, having the boldness to talk about your dreams and goals and things you want to accomplish in life and invite all of us to help you and walk along you on that journey.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and speak. That's a big part of who I am as a person. I recognize the value in uplifting not just the ones around me, but the ones who necessarily don't know what they're capable of. So I appreciate you all letting me come on here and just give my thoughts on a lot of these matters. So thank you.
Thank you. I want you to know that your life matters.
Yes. and we're proud of you, and definitely want to stay in touch and everything. And definitely some of my contacts in Tallahassee, definitely if they need your services, I want to be able to recommend you and say, look, hey, you got to try this guy here, because in fact, I do believe that that's where it starts at. We can flourish. You will flourish. We just speak that in the atmosphere now. You will flourish. You will do well, and you will soar, because you're open to possibilities. And I think that is so important inside of that. So we're thankful. A lot of people are rooting for you. We're going to stay in touch now, so we can check in and things like that. I'm with Dr. Val on this one. I want to be able to say, oh yes, we had him, back during that time. Yes, inside of that. So we definitely commend you inside of what you're doing. Congratulations again.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night and God bless, and we wish you Godspeed. And greatness is sure to come, even more so than it is now.
Thank you. God, have a wonderful night.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We're so blessed. I mean, just such a confident young man. I mean, you could hear his confidence, but it's a confidence because he has stood back. He has evaluated things around him, and he has kept going forth. I mean, you hear his faith inside of him. You hear him saying, look, hey, I heard what they said, but this is what I'm going to do. That type of resiliency, that type of discernment, that type of pressing forward. Why wouldn't you want to support someone like that? And then notice his mission. His mission is still about what? Encouraging others that might not know. And I love how real he was with saying, I started off with a general idea of what I wanted to do. But as I went on, things became real. So it was not just saying, well, I'm going to do business. Now it became more specific. I'm going to do this and that. And that's important. That's encouraging for someone right now. And we see it happen all the time, right? We start off in a major, or we go in a major, but our life ends up going a different way, because I do believe that sometimes we end up gravitating or finding our purpose, even if it's being introduced to us through our adversity.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'm doing now, I had no idea I could do it. I didn't have a clue. And, and then meeting Les Brown and working with him for over 27 years, it's beyond my imagination. So I as I said, when you walk in your purpose, doors will open for you, the doors that God has for you, not the doors that you have for yourself. Because sometimes we envision things for our lives and God has something totally different. But we have to be sensitive to know what that is and be open to the possibilities. So we have another guest with us tonight.
Yes.
As we wrap up our show.
Yes. Well, this guest here was kind of like the connecting part for both Justin and Jaiden. And this is my dear friend, Miss Felicia Reid Meadows, Esquire. She is the mother of Justin. And listen, what an incredible journey. You've raised an incredible son and incredible family members, and Jaiden and all these people here. And when I spoke with you earlier, man, she just was a factor. She said, listen, I know this young person, this person can. You're very energetic about young people accomplishing their goals and them being able to do so. And inside of that, you've done this with your son, Justin. And the thing I loved about when I spoke with you about this, you know what you immediately did? She corrected me. When I talked about her just being a single mother and what great job she did, she said it was the village. Mm-hmm. So I want you to kind of elaborate on that, because you're also a village voice, because you're still encouraging others.
Yes. I am so proud of two young men. I know Jaiden's parents and have known them probably for the majority of my life. I met his father in middle school and his mother in middle school. And so I know that he comes from great stock. And I have watched these kids from, early on and develop. And it's just amazing at how independent they've become and how they have learned these different skills, but also that they're very grounded in faith. That was one thing I instilled in my son early on, that have faith in God, that once you have that faith and you try to continue on in that faith, and you make sure you have that ear open and ready to hear what God has to tell you, that you will succeed. Because it's not only that you're trying to do what it is you want to do, that you're following the advice that God has for you, and he'll order your steps. And as long as he's ordering your steps, there's no way that you're going to end up on the wrong path. And so I do that on my own. I began as a single mother, um, and it wasn't something that was something frightening to me at all. I uh, got my degree at FAMU, my
Another rattler.
degree in business economics, and then I went on to Howard School of Law for law school. And so I'm a rattler bison, and you talk about my friend, my A5A brother. I'm also an Alpha Kappa Alpha, and his mother is as well. We're both Soros, and we just realized that it's important. The important thing is to really to seed into the lives of our first, and to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do. We train up a child in the way that he will go, and then when he is old, he will not depart from it. So, I started early on with Justin, and just wanted to make certain he realized that he had people available to him, in case he needed them for whatever. My mother and my father and my second daddy, who is now deceased, um, and my stepmother, were very important parts of helping to rear my son, and to help him to become the young man that he is today. And not only my family members, my brother as well, his uncle, but also several members of the community. Um, about friends of mine, my girlfriends, he calls them auntie. And the church, he started in the mime ministry at age 9, and that was something he really excelled in. And I could really see that this child had an on his life, and people would walk up to him and tell him, "You are, you were the tall one, correct?" Because he wouldn't have the face paint.
Right.
And you are anointed. So when I discussed what it meant to have an anointing on his life, he understood that it meant that he had to go beyond what it was, just the calling that we have on our lives to be, to spread the gospel, but also to do what he could with that gift that God gave him, and to make certain that he touched even one person's life. And he did that Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, ministering, but he also does that on a regular basis. And I think he has a very good heart, and he's extremely talented. That art runs deep in the Meadows family. My dad used to paint. My brother draws and paints, and I used to draw all the time. And I create jewelry and do all kinds of different things. I taught him about multiple streams of income. So,
Wow.
his that music production that he does, he makes beats. He started doing it a couple of years ago, and when I first listened to his one beat, I was like, "That's yours." And so, I mean, being just a very proud mom at this time in his life, is very proud. He's my only child, and I
Oh, I
am.
was about to ask you, is this the
Yes,
only child?
he is the only child.
My
And
daughter, my granddaughter is my oldest daughter's only child, and she's going away to college. So it's going to be interesting.
well, since he's staying here, I'm a little bit happy. I can't deny that. Um, I'm a little bit happy about that. That it will still be close. Um, but the sky's the limit. He wants his music on the side, and then do something in digital arts or graphic design in college. So I'm certain that, a lot of our Black young men and women need to know about multiple streams of income,
Yes.
having a job outside of a job, a business outside of your job, because that can be something that you can leave as a legacy to your family behind. Once you have passed on, you leave that as a legacy to your children and your children's children. And so he sees me doing that, and he understands that. So I'm very, very proud at this time. But I really, again, have to give it up to my village, because the village that he's had at Mount Bethel Baptist Church, the ministry there, just the family, friends, and even the teachers. He's had such a diverse array of teachers at his school at JP Taravella. I have to applaud them. He's had an excellent set of teachers all 4 years of high school. And so I couldn't have handpicked them better if I, did so myself. So I'm very proud of them.
Wow.
Yeah, I do applaud and appreciate the teachers, because they help shape our young people so
Absolutely.
that they can either excel or digress in life, but mostly they help them to excel and get their footing so they'll have a direction of where they want to go. And my son, the one that's the principal, he was
Yeah.
going to drop out of school in 8th grade. He said he wasn't going back. He was going to get a job and help support the family because, I had divorced, and, he figured he was the man of the house and he was going to protect us. And he said he wasn't going back to school. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. You got to go to school. You can't take care of me if you don't have a job.
That's
No,
right.
I'm not going to school. I'm going to, he was just, Putinel. Then he went on, graduated high school, went on to college, got double masters, started teaching, was a teacher, then a vice principal, and now principal. This is somebody that said he wasn't going to school, but he had a teacher that was very influential in his life. And I think that's why I always celebrate teachers. And anytime I could do
Absolutely.
something to give them the exposure they need, because people don't realize the work that's involved. You have a room full of students with different personalities. Imagine
Oh,
me,
yeah.
a single parent, 4 kids, different personalities. And then you put a teacher in a room with 30 kids, this class, and have to
And one
change
class period.
3 or 4 different periods, and still you expect them to work miracles while you sit at home watching Housewives or Atlanta, New York. No, we have to get involved. And I thank you so much, Felicia, because you said it takes a village, but the village starts in the home. And I applaud you for the work that you did so that it spewed out where people recognize the work and the investment that you did in your child to want to participate and help you along.
Yes. I actually taught at the middle school, high school, and college levels. So yes, I understand that's why I think I had a better understanding of what the teachers were dealing with. And
Mm.
I applauded them for their efforts, especially with dealing with my child who sometimes, had some issues. But I mean, he, um, you know, when I spoke about losing my second dad, that happened during the beginning of his 9th grade year, like after the first semester. But he had his grandfather, he had his grandmother, he still had his uncle, and me and everybody else here. We all just he had to get back on track a little bit, but he did it, and he started doing fantastic. And I mean, again, I couldn't be more proud.
Awesome. But the great thing about it, when we see the fruit of our labor, the fruit of our investment, in sometimes, day by day, we don't always recognize it. But times like this, when it's coming to the culmination and commencement, we look back and we're proud because that's when we see the growth. That's when we see the development. That's when we recognize the fact this kid really did get it, or they really did make an effort. And even tonight, as we were talking with him and interviewing him. It was funny how you could tell when he was tapping into his passion.
Mm-hmm. He got real
Really,
excited.
I mean, it was like, and you could tell that that's where he was, and and he find joy and satisfaction, and just to watch his wheels turning, like he knows exactly now this is what I want to do, but I know I can capitalize on this as well. And I think that is so important in this day and time. And when we don't disparage anyone, but sometimes I hear, because I deal with young people all the time, and I'll hear them say, "Well, I'm just going to blow up." I said, "Blow up when? What you going to do?" And it's blow up or bust, okay? But they have nothing else that they have there that they can hang on to or at least invest in, and that's why you have to develop gifts, talent, ability, and be willing to expand your horizons. And I spoke with Justin off camera, and it was interesting because the whole thing about him signing, that's a whole nother world altogether inside of reaching a whole nother audience inside of that. And with so much that he does, he will never be limited by lack of opportunities, because the fact that he has a lot of things he can do. And I think that is so crucial in this day and time. And I specifically speak to parents. A lot of time I've spoken to parents, and they were all banking on their kid being the great athlete. He's going to go to college, he's going to be in the NFL. And one injury, one thing happened, and that dream was gone, and there was nothing to fall back on. And so, I end up with a lot of clients I did when I was in the Glades area that was former star athletes in high school. They got to college, or they may have gotten hurt, or they had things to happen. And all of a sudden the dream was shattered, and now they're back home, and I was dealing with them inside of being referred to anger management classes, being referred to all that. And most of it was broken dreams. It was failed expectation. And I remember having a parent come to me and they said to me at that time, "Listen, Mr. Thicklin, I just need you. Can you just give him a certificate that he went through?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Why would I do that?" She said, "Because, he don't want to be here." But I said, "But he does have a problem." I said, "Let us get to the bottom of it." And I had to literally get the parent to recognize this, because the parent took it on as their own personal failure as well.
Yeah.
But when you're able to redirect and give them what they need to, it makes a difference. And I thank you that you all have given those young men what they need, that village, yourself, Jaiden, his parents. I'm proud of these young men very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, I thank you so much for loaning these blessings to us for this past hour. And I thank you for coming on and being transparent and sharing your heart and encouraging more individuals. So those of you that have little darlings that are graduating and you want them to join us on Hot Topics from the Soul, we want to hear from you, because see, I think when we hear from the young people, we have a better perspective of their needs and the things that the oppositions that they're facing, because we don't really know unless they vocalize it. So that's why I try to allow this platform, because it's about the community, empowering the community. We're reaching hearts and empowering lives. This is what the soul of a woman does. And hopefully those that listened and were inspired and encouraged by these young men and Felicia, I want you to connect with them. We have their Zelle for Jaiden, and JaidenRBusiness@gmail.com. And Justin's Cash App is $EEE by FEE. That's real easy. You can remember that in your sleep. Wake up the next morning and say, "Oh, this is easy. Triple E by fee." And as I said, I'm not having them on because I'm saying, oh, they have a need or anything like that. What I'm saying is, we're always investing in stuff. Invest in people that you have a visual of. Black Lives Matter. Support them so they won't be a statistic. Encourage and empower. This is what this platform does. And I hope you will join me and participate. Every bit counts, every bit helps. as a matter of fact, it will let them know that their lives do matter and people really do care about their vision and what they're trying to accomplish in life. So this has been another Hot Topics from the Soul. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Any closing remarks, Dr. J?
I would just encourage everyone to share. Take this, share it with friends, share it with those there, because we want to continue to encourage them. We want to invest inside of them. Show it to your undergrad. Show it to your kid who's in school, who's in college. It will encourage them.
I have adopted, last year I adopted 3 girls and one young man. And this year I adopted 2, Love on a Senior, Love on a High School Senior. So I love that program too. So I do whatever I can, where I can.
Absolutely. We all have to join together and network together. We have to. I mean, I was, like I said, 4 kids, and I was following people in the grocery store and seeing them pick up stuff and put it back. Was trying to decipher what they needed most, and then I followed them to the register, and I would just pay for their food and stuff. So little things like this is things that I've done even when I was struggling myself, because I knew how important it was. And I think that's why God has blessed me, because give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Every little bit counts. It doesn't have to be a lot. $5, $10, just to say, you let somebody know you love. I would go in church and walk down the aisle and, sometimes put money in people's hands and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, I needed that. So we really need to be sensitive to the people that's around us, because we're in a village. We're in a village. So we need to be familiar with those people that are in our village.
Amen.
So this has been another Hot Topics from the Soul. Again, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Until next Tuesday. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.